y'all. So today we're making something that's almost everybody's favorite, and I'm talking about pizza. Pizza dough can be a little tricky, but I have a recipe that's no-knead. It has that sour, old-time wood oven, crispy pizza dough flavor that everybody wants to get, and I've got the secret. Did I say no kneading? I think I did. No kneading, so easy. It is time consuming because you do have to let it rest, so you have to start it in the morning. But other than that, it's only about 5 minutes of hands-on time, and you'll be making pizza like a pro. So while y'all go over to the kitchen, I'm just gonna be sitting here with my pizza. All right, so for our pizza dough, we've got all-purpose flour, we've got lukewarm water, which is about 80 degrees, cooler than we normally have for bread, and olive oil, yeast, active dry yeast, not instant yeast, salt, and sugar. That's all we need. So the next thing we're gonna do is get our pot, and we're gonna mix everything right in here. We're gonna let it rise right in here. Now, the reason that we're using cooler water than normal is so that, well, because it's gonna rise for a long time. We're not in a hurry. For the very best flavor in pizza doughs and honestly baguettes, a long, cool rise is going to develop a lot more flavor than something that rises in 30 minutes or 2 hours. So we're going to add our yeast, and I'm going to put a little bit of flour in with that to protect it from the salt when we add that. The sugar is not to sweeten it. The sugar is to give the yeast something to eat. The reason that we're using as much sugar as we are is, again, this is a long rise, so we want to have the yeast to have plenty of food. Okay, we're going to add the water and stir that around a little bit. All right, and now I'm going to add the oil, the salt, and finally, I'm going to add the flour. All in one bump. Now I'm just going to take my wooden spoon, or in this case, a spatula, and I'm going to stir that around just to mix in the flour. This is a very wet dough, and we want it that way. If we need to firm it up after it's risen, when we're ready to make our pizza dough, then we'll do that. But for right now, we're gonna leave it really goopy so that it slides off your spoon or spatula. Now, that's it. So I'm going to scrape off this, get as much back in there as I can. It's very sticky. I'm going to put a cover on it, and I'm just going to leave it at room temperature to rise for about 2.5 to 3 hours. After that time, it will be ready to shape. But for me, because I want to develop the flavor, I'm going to probably let it rise for, let's see, it's 9:30 in the morning now, and I'm planning on eating around 4:30 or 5. So I'll probably let it rise about 6 hours, but we'll look at it a couple of times during that time and see what it's doing. Until then, we'll just let it rest, covered, but not totally covered. We're just gonna leave the cover on it. We don't want it to be airtight. We're just gonna leave the cover on it loose like that so that there's space here, and just let it rest. That's it. We'll see you in a couple of hours. All right, y'all, it's just about dinner time, and I am going to make our pizza dough into pizza. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get a good batch of flour on the counter, because this is a very sticky dough. Because this is a very sticky dough and it is going to be messy. Then I'm going to take I'm going to scoop out about 1.5 cups of the dough and put it right in that big pile of flour that I just created. That's going to keep it from sticking. Now you're going to put, if you can see how stretchy and still quite gooey it is. With experience, you're going to figure out exactly how much you need. And so now I'm just going to make sure I'm not really kneading it, I'm just folding it around. I'm going to put that over here for right now, because there's no way that I'm going to be able to shape that and then move it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on my pizza pan now and then shape it. Now I'm using a pizza stone, but I can't find my pizza peel, so I can't. Normally I would shape it on the pizza peel and then put it right onto the hot pizza stone. But since I can't find it, I'm going to shape this on a cold pizza stone to be put in the oven. So it's not going to do the crisp crust thing, but it's still going to be fine. So here's my pizza stone. Here's my my dough. I'm going to put a nice layer of the pizza stone, by the way, has been used out in the on the grill, so it's kind of messy, but I'm going to put a good layer of cornmeal on there. And this cornmeal would be better if it was stone ground, but use what you have. All right, now I'm going to put the pizza dough on there, and I'm just going to move everything out of the way so you can see better. I'm just going to put some flour on it and keep moving it around and shaping it. And I'm going to keep flour on my hands because this is a very sticky dough, and I don't want it sticking to my hands so much. And as I'm pushing it and manipulating the dough, I'm making it thinner and thinner, and I'm building up the crust. Now you can see right here that it's starting to tear because it's gotten very thin there. That's not a problem. I'm just going to grab some more of the dough and push that in and keep going. Okay, I'm gonna let it sit like that for, I like a little thicker pizza dough, so I'm gonna let that rise for maybe 10-15 minutes. And during that time, I will be preheating the oven to probably around 500. When you check the recipe, it'll have the exact temperature that I used on there, okay? All right, I will see y'all in a few minutes, and we're just gonna let this rise. All right, it's been a few minutes, and our oven is preheated to 500 degrees, and I have it on convection pizza bake. If you have an oven that has various settings, putting it on the convection pizza bake is a good setting, because the air flows all around it and it helps it have a better crust. So I'm going to put my my sauce on top, and all of this is, you can use any sauce you want. You can use a pasta sauce, you can use a pre-made spaghetti, pre-made pizza sauce. What I've done is I've taken tomato paste and olive oil and a little water and garlic and oregano and basil and mixed it up to a thick consistency. It's almost the same consistency that the dough was, and that's what I'm going to use because I like a thicker sauce. So I'm going to put that on there and smooth it out right to the edges. I'm gonna keep this a thin layer because you don't want your pizza to get all, you don't want it to be all messy and drippy. So that's why I like using the tomato paste instead of pasta sauce or tomato sauce or anything like that. I like to keep it good and thick. So we're gonna push that all the way out to the edges. Make sure that we've got all of the pizza covered and just a nice edge of crust. And you want that to be as evenly spread as possible, which is kind of not possible because it's rising up in some places and it's down in other places, but just as much as you can. Put this back on there because I don't want it sliding off. All right. Then I'm gonna make a mess. Then I'm going to put a little more oregano on it. I love oregano. This is just plain dried oregano from the store. And now I've got my shredded cheese that I'm gonna put on top. Now some people like the toppings to go under the cheese and some people like the toppings to go on top of the cheese. So I don't know which is your preference. If you like the toppings under the cheese, then by all means put those on first. I kind of like them on top of the cheese so I can see what I'm eating. It's always safer that way. All right. And then I'm gonna put just pepperoni on. We are very simple when it comes to pizza. I like veggie pizza, and I know this is gonna be terrible, but Canadian bacon and, yep, pineapple pizza. But when I'm making homemade pizza for the family, the one that they really like best is just plain old pepperoni. So that's what we're gonna do. And there it is. Our pizza has all of our pepperoni on it. It's got our sauce, it's got our cheese. I'm going to take this and put it in the oven, and in a few minutes, we're gonna have ourselves a pizza. Well, y'all, you've heard the term, the best laid plans. The pizza that I made on the pizza stone actually got forgotten, and I got busy doing something else, and so it is not one that I want you to see, but I did make another one. And so the pizza you're gonna see is not on a pizza stone, but it is a finished pizza. So as you can see, we've got our pizza, we've got our pepperoni on there, our cheese on there, our crisp crust. We're gonna let that sit and cool down. If I try to cut it right now, it's just gonna fall apart. So as it sits, it's gonna crisp up a little bit, and then I'll take it off the sheet and I'll cut it and we'll be ready to eat. So y'all, you ready? Here we have it. Here is our gorgeous, beautifully crusted pizza. Can you see that? It's amazing. But let's take a bite and see how it is. So I will be the first to admit that I like a thick crust on my pizza. But just because the crust is thick, I don't want it to be all like floppy. And this one really isn't. It's maybe a little floppy, but it's very bready and very delicious. So good. If you love pizza, and I know you do, definitely want to try this recipe, okay? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check this recipe out over at restlesschipotle.com, and let me know how it works for you, okay? All right, talk to y'all later. Love ya.
Bye-bye.